Hey, welcome to another episode of the Local Marketing Beat brought to you by Uberall, the only location marketing platform that connects your digital presence to revenue. And today we have a pretty interesting topic. We're talking about enhancing your local search visibility. And I think it's an understatement saying that search has evolved, its change is here, right? It's not something that's coming, we're in it. And with the rise in AI and all the things that are changing, with consumer behavior and the way that consumers are searching for local businesses, we really wanted to bring you guys insights on how to stand out in local search, and what better way to, bring it directly from experts from Google. So today we have two special guests. We have Lisa Landsman from Global Partnerships at Google and Ashley Du from Global Partnerships at Google. Welcome, guys. I'm very excited to have you here.
Thank you. It's so great to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. And, we've had the pleasure of meeting both of you once or maybe twice. And, there's a lot of collaboration going on. And I think this was the perfect alignment of topics. I think you guys can bring a lot of insights to our audience, our listeners, subscribers. And why don't we start there, right? Let's talk about this evolution, because recent years, AI has transformed the way, even in my side, right, the way that I perform SEO or optimization or do consultations on where problems arise. Like, everything has changed. So what are some of the trends that you guys are seeing that maybe businesses and brands out there should start focusing on in order to succeed with all these changes?
Yeah, I can start us off. I mean, there's been so many big shifts in the history of search, and we're in them. Like, we are in it. People are searching more, they're searching differently. There are over 2 billion daily active users searching on Google every day, and yet 15% of searches have never been searched before, which I think is wild. You think that, like, oh, everything's like been searched before. Google knows everything, but we're seeing new searches every single day. And so before, maybe I would search for, it's the weekend or it's Tuesday, but I'm already thinking about the weekend.
Right.
I'm trying to figure
Aren't we
out
all?
Me too, Ashley.
exactly what are things to do near me. But now people then are searching family-friendly things to do on the weekend. And with AI, people are even searching these complex, longer queries like, I'm planning a summer trip to London with 2 young kids. They love science and nature. What's a 4-day itinerary with a mix of city and countryside things to do? Give me restaurants, places to stay, local sites. Like, it's an extremely complex type of query. And like, now you can do that with AI, which is wild.
It's so wild. And I spoke at SMX last week at the time of this recording, and I was sharing the story of when, I recently bought a Harley motorcycle, and it was used and it broke, and it's my first motorcycle ever. I have no idea. I'm no repair guy. I don't know how to fix it. And I literally just took pictures of it was the fuel leaking from the fuel line. I took pictures to diagnose, right? I was like, hey, can you help me figure out what's going on? What am I supposed to do? And then I took it up a notch. I was like, well, can you find me the parts locally? Like, where do I go? Where do I buy them? It did. And it told me exactly how to fix it and where to go. And, I share the story because it's like, that's obviously I'm challenging it, right, as a marketer, but like, that's 100% what a consumer would have done.
Totally. Exactly that.
Is that what you're seeing, Lisa? Like, are you seeing that conversational aspect to search?
Yeah, that's exactly what's changed. And I think Ashley alluded to this with sort of these longer, complex queries, right? So we're seeing search becoming more conversational, more contextual, more intelligent. So it's not just about keywords and proximity anymore, although those things are still important. So if you think about how it's reshaping the results, think about AI overviews. So people have probably seen this. Sometimes it's called SGE, search generative, right? So it appears at the top of the search results. So for local queries, it's providing summarized answers, right, to your point. So you're searching for motorcycle parts or you broke this thing, and now it's giving you exactly what you're looking for. So it's drawing information from multiple sources. And for local searches, right, the business profiles, reviews, websites, this means that users might get their answer without having to click through to a website. So your example is perfect, right? So it's shifting the goal from clicking, right, to being cited and featured in some of these overviews. And our models are getting a lot better, right? Understanding that intent for those complex queries. thankful that people are searching in this way, right? So if somebody's looking for a best place for a family dinner with outdoor seating in Brooklyn, we understand they're looking for a patio. They're looking for a place that's good for families that might look for groups, right? Very different than a restaurants near me query. So now we can process those nuances and pull in details from reviews and attributes and profiles that match with those highly specific needs. So we're also looking at like the rise in rich and structured content, summarizing this information. So the quality and structured nature of that content matters more than ever, right? So again, we're pulling from product listings, services, menus, right? Comprehensive, accurate, regularly updated information becomes the fuel, right? All of this information we're getting from you, businesses and other sources are going to really power the search experiences. And so just lastly, thinking about that local 3-pack, right? The one that we're used to seeing. Still very crucial, but AI can integrate local business information into broader answers and more personalized recommendations. So think about what Ashley was talking about with regard to the itinerary. So not only does it give you like, here's what you should do, but here are the places you should go. Here are the places that you should eat, right? Very specific recommendations. So it's not just about ranking in that 3-pack. It's about being relevant and present wherever.
And it's very interesting to me because I was actually at a networking event 2 weeks ago and I met the owner of a local pest control. And obviously AI came up, right? It's like, doesn't matter who you talk to, AI is going to come up.
Everywhere.
And yeah, everyone. And he told me about this recent local customer. It was an older lady. And he asked her, how did you find me? And the lady said, well, I just asked, it was a long paragraph. And I just asked, hey, I want a local pest control company with good reputation that can service this specific area with competitive rates. And the funny thing, and she said, you were number one. I called you right away. Like I trusted it. I called you. And then he said, you know what's funny? I just added prices on my website 2 weeks ago. And it's just that click, right? It's like, well, that's what data does. Now,
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, and I'm sure you're seeing it, right? Like, there's a lot. Actually, we had a recent overall research put out, and one of the biggest red flag that pushes customers away is lack of pricing or, the inconsistent in pricing. Like there's one thing posted online, they show up and it's a whole different thing. And we like to call it, if you understand what you're doing wrong, you can fix it and then, go the other direction. So maybe this one's for you, Ashley, but what do you think are some common mistakes that brands and businesses are making when it comes to Google Business Profile and online visibility that possibly we can call out right now so they can start avoiding it, right?
Yeah, I love the example of the pest control business. And personally, whenever I meet a business, I recognize that I'm one step. I'm not a business owner. I try to do my best to put myself in their shoes, but I'm not one at the end of the day. And whenever I meet one, I try to do a mini audit of their GBP, which is it's just kind of high pressure. But the top questions and mistakes that I come across is number one, just making sure you have primary ownership of your profile. Amazing partners and platforms like Uberall help businesses co-manage their online presence, but ultimately businesses should be in the driver's seat. Right? They should always make sure that they have primary ownership of their profile. And this is just kind of like the fundamental, just make sure you have that. The second one is setting it and forgetting it. Like before that pest control business updated their prices on their website, like how long did it go before they did that? I don't know. Businesses often
Probably long.
Yeah, probably a long time.
Yeah.
And they probably thought, okay, I'm opening my business. Let's set up my GBP. And they put in like their website or address or phone numbers. Like that's the core information. But they might just set it and forget it. But as their prices change or business grows, maybe they like the pest control has a different offering or a different service that they see because that's what like it's summer and that's I don't know what I thank God I have not needed a pest control for my own house. So
Knock on wood.
yeah, knock on wood. And hopefully no bugs in my wood. I don't know. But your GBP is a living, breathing online storefront that should be updated. So for instance, with holiday hours or such seasonal specials, maybe you have some great customer experiences that you want to incorporate. 4th of July is around the corner and this year it falls on a Friday, but say you're going to be closed the day before. And like this last year, this literally happened to me. I think Lisa had a similar experience where we wanted to get our nails done. We had the day off before 4th of July, showed up at a nail salon and it was closed. And they should be closed to celebrate the holiday, but they didn't update their GBP. And so I showed up and like the hours weren't updated. Or say the opposite scenario where their business is open for 4th of July and you're having this really fun like barbecue and music event. Add this to your GBP so that you can promote this event online. And lastly, just filling out everything possible because GBP is ultimately a free online marketing tool. Like I used to work in ads. I know how important Google ads are, and paid advertising is a really important optimization channel. But GBP is free, so just updating it to take advantage of all the different fields possible. Google's always adding new things to really reflect what our users are looking for. And like I said, 15% of users are new, so they could be looking for new things that we didn't even anticipate. So for example, we're adding new secondary categories to better represent your business. Or June is Pride Month, and a few years ago we actually added an LGBTQ plus own attribute. So if someone wanted to celebrate Pride by supporting a local LGBTQ owned business, they can actually now search that directly on Google.
Yeah, so I like your example. I take it very personally because we actually own 3 nail salons. I mean, outside
Oh,
of overall, and one of the things that is like at the top of my list, obviously I manage the profiles, is we have like the next 12 months ahead of holidays are already confirmed hours because we know most of the times are open. But as a consumer, I just like to see that green confirmation, like these holiday hours are confirmed.
yeah.
And it's just like I am so confident I'm gonna go, right? Like it's one of those things. And I've picked businesses just based on that, right? On a holiday when it's like, well, hours may change because they're not confirmed. It's like, no, next until I found a like a confirmed one, right? It's just that validation as a consumer, I think is important.
No, you're so right about that. I just want to chime in because I've had the same issue as Ashley. And I think when the information is not correct, whether it's a broken link on, the website or an incorrect phone number or those wrong hours, it actually really hurts the credibility
Yep.
of that business. It hurts the
Yes.
credibility of us too, but then somebody doesn't trust you and they may never try and go to your business again. So I think just understanding the consequences of incorrect information is so incredibly important.
Yeah, and I've heard that one before. It's like, well, Google's not accurate. It's like, it's not Google, it's the business owner. Like, get mad at them because they're not updating it. And I've answered this exact thing multiple times to people that they don't really, they're not in SEO, they're not in marketing, and that's my first answer. It's like, no, get mad at the business because they forgot to update their hours. So I guess that this comes with a challenge, right? Because a lot of our overall customers and a lot of our audience are franchises and multi locations, and this is when it gets tricky because for me managing 3 profiles is simple, but we're talking about 500, 1,000, 2,000 locations. Obviously, it gets very complicated. So, is there any recommendations that you guys can do, and we can start with you, Ashley, on this matter? Like, what is your recommendation to manage in bulk, right? At a greater scale.
Yeah. I'm not going to even sugarcoat it. Like, this isn't because Uberall is a great partner, but editing your Google business profile information on Google itself is doable if you have one or even the 3 locations for the nail salons. But if you're trying to manage hundreds of locations or ensure accuracy consistent across multiple different publishers, like we know Google isn't the only publisher that businesses have to maintain their online presence on, then partners and platforms like Uberall is a great option for efficient ease consistency.
And that's a shameless plug right there. No, but it's true. It's true. It's really true because it's one thing managing one, two, three, even 10. You might be able to. It starts to become a little bit of a full-time job now, but yeah, there's no way, right? Like, once you're talking about this level of scale, it's just crazy to manage the data. But then I think even creating that engagement, like that would be my next thing. Is like, how are you going to create engagement for 100 listings that you have to log into each profile? Right. So is there anything on your, either of you that you would recommend? Like, what can we tell brands on creating engagement or sharing content that obviously is going to help visibility, but at the same time is build that trust, right? Help that audience or that local customer.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Lisa, I'll take this one.
Go ahead.
But, but it's kind of what you're saying. It's like, how do you build trust and this authentic brand voice online and beyond like the core information as core it is like hours, website, phone number, it's still high stakes like we talked about for the 4th of July example, but other information should be updated and grow as your business grows. So for local businesses, there's 3 types of content that we are like helping merchants prioritize. The first is posts. Most businesses are posting on social media. That's like what comes first to mind. I'll admit that. But a lot of businesses don't know that they can post directly to Google, and those posts get highlighted in a variety of ways. Now, from Google and social media are being featured in a variety of ways across Google Search and Maps. And for restaurants specifically, we're really showcasing posts front and center. I actually love this feature myself. But say I'm visiting Chicago, I want a local activity to do. I have a major sweet tooth. I'm really trying to kick it, but I just love sweets. And so I searched for sweet treats near me. I happened to discover Struggle Beard Bakery in Chicago, and they have a cookies and karaoke event every Wednesday. It's so
Oh, that's
cool.
cool.
We
Yeah,
need
that
to
sounds
go, by the
cool.
way.
We need to
Yeah.
Next
go.
time
Yeah,
you're in town, make sure it's a Wednesday.
coming, we're going. And so I just love that posts are featured really front and center, and it says it's today or it's this upcoming Wednesday, and I can plan out my week, and I have these fun local activities to do, whether I'm visiting someplace or I'm trying to plan a date night with my husband. And so in order to be eligible for these new features, businesses should do two things. One, link their social media handles to GBP. That, set and forget it. Instagram profile, link it to your GBP. The second one, though, on an ongoing basis, is post directly to Google, specifically your events, deals, and specials. And this is really going to help entice new and existing customers alike to come in through the door. So again, number one, posts. We love posts.
Yeah, one thing to note about what Ashley just said, and I don't know if everybody knows this, but the reason to link your social media handles to GBP is now we're automatically pulling in. So if you're posting those event specials and deals on Instagram, Facebook, or X, we're automatically pulling them in. So you don't have to put them in multiple places. But to Ashley's point, I think posting those directly on Google, it's much faster to get them up and running. And we've got some.
Yeah, and I think it was a video that I recorded recently. I don't want to get into theories right now, but I was talking about a theory about this, what's the future of these posts? Where do I see them going? And I just think that there's so much there, that they can still be done, and I'm sure you guys are working on it. But I don't know, as a consumer, I think is just appreciate it, right? Like showing up or you're searching and you're in defense and then you see that event pop, cookies and karaoke. The other night we went to this local bar we hadn't been, and they had trivia night and I had no idea. But those little things just, is a very good experience. And I think it can really trigger that conversion, right? You as a brand, you should be focusing on that. It is a perfect example. Also, we were doing a live audit of a couple of bars, looking at their profiles. And one of them, the two of them had pictures, beautiful pictures of their inside of the bar, the stools, food, everything that needs to be done right. The third one had a picture of a dog chilling on the patio and having a blast, and it was just well, that's where I'm gonna go, right? Because
Yes,
Lisa, I thought about you, right? Like the phrase that you say, if your Google business profile could talk, what would it say? It's I'm going to that place.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot about the vibe, right? There's only so much you can say in text, but being able to show photos and videos and communicate that. And to your point, a place with a dog, I'm so in. Being a dog
Yeah,
person,
yeah,
makes
and it was
makes
awesome.
the
It was a great
difference.
spot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Now, if we're talking about a little bit more of the insights, right? We understand a little bit of okay, what to do, what not to do, but now it's time to measure. And I know that there's some challenges, especially with anything local. Has always been, the transaction is offline. There's never the perfect attribution, even though even on the overall app we have a revenue attribution model now. It's still hard, right? So what can brands do when it comes to insights and really understanding their consumers and how the customer is engaging? What do you think that's a one tip or actionable item, Lisa, that you can share?
Yeah, I would say for GBP, so there is a performance and insights section, and it's free, right? To your point, to help understand customer behavior. So there's a couple things to look at in there. The first one is how are customers finding you? Meaning, what are they searching on? So there's some good insights that you can derive from there. Also interesting to know, did they search for you directly or did they find you on searching for something else, right? And so what directed them to you and how do you think about that and the impact of that. And then the second one is, what do they do on your profile? So you can look at how many calls, how many clicks on directions, visits to your website. So you can understand what your Google business profile is driving in terms of actions and activities, right? If they're clicking on directions, they're likely coming to you. If they're calling you, obviously there's some intent there in some way. So I think that's super helpful as a starting point. So what can you do with this data, right? So thinking about, the keywords, for example. So if you're a restaurant, just going back to the restaurant example, and somebody's searching on salmon, that's interesting. Who knew that people really cared about this? And maybe there's something about my profile that's driving people here. But how do I use that for marketing purposes, right? What else outside of Google can I do? And obviously, what within the platform? So, what are kind of those learnings that you can get there? And then, what kind of posts are they interested in and engaging with? Like, is
Right.
there something that's driving them? If you've got cookies and karaoke, or you have trivia night versus like a 2-for-1 special on, wings or happy hour appetizers, what are the things that are driving people to you, and how do you leverage those learnings? And then how do you think about improving the customer experience? So I think reviews, hopefully, as businesses, everybody's engaging and responding to reviews. I think some only respond to positive, some only respond to negative. Make sure you're engaging. But they actually give you really great insights about the business. So recently, we launched something called AI review summaries. So these basically take a look at all of your reviews using AI and provide some kind of summarization. So what are the trends that we're seeing? So it could be like top products that you sell, amazing services that you offer, or they might have things that they don't like. Wow, the bathroom's always really dirty, or something that stands out. So as a business operator, keep your emotions out of it, but act
Right.
on the feedback. Like, people are actually telling you what they like and don't like about the business. So how can you even improve your operations, right? Or maybe there's a great employee that stands out. So use the insights you get from there to help drive some of the work that you're doing.
And I mean, reviews are so important. I feel like it comes up on almost every episode. Doesn't matter. We've had customers, we had, partners, we've had all, everything in the spectrum, and reviews always comes up. And I think it will continue to be, right? Like one of the discussions we were having recently is with all these things AI generated, that's still a human touch, right? So that engagement, I think it has that aspect that I think brands should really pay attention to. And I would be curious to hear from either of you as well. How can, a brand, regardless of the size, effectively really measure, in your opinion, right? How can they measure the impact of their local search, right? What have you heard from other brands? Obviously, everybody has their own way of, the room was packed. We had a lot of cookies sold and people were singing. So, it was success. But in your experience, what does that look
Yeah, but I think that's a great point, right? So a lot of businesses, it's foot traffic, online order. What is it that your real business goals are? And then how do you track back to some of this activity? So we talked a little bit about Google Business Profile Insights, right? What are the actions that people are taking? So if you're seeing calls, direction requests, website visits, all of that, that connects to real business goals, right? We are helping to drive traffic, so pay attention. I mentioned analyzing search queries. Integrate this with your other data. So think about website analytics. We've got Google Analytics. There's other analytics platforms out there to track traffic and conversions originating from GBP, and obviously your other marketing efforts as well. Call tracking, right, for specific phone numbers that are listed.
like?
So how can you figure out, like, are people converting? Are they placing those orders? Whatever that might be. Ask customers directly how they found you. Get some
Yeah.
qualitative insights.
Yeah.
But just make sure you're setting clear KPIs, defining what that success looks like for you: foot traffic, leads, online bookings, brand awareness, whatever that might be. The other thing to think about here is measurement's not a one-time task, right? This is a continuous cycle. So don't look at just single metrics. Analyze things over time, whether it's month over month, quarter over quarter, taking into account seasonality to understand the impact of changes. Another thing to think about, particularly with your Google Business Profile, is experimenting with different content, offers, photos, using insights to figure out what drives better results. So Ashley had worked with a merchant on a great case study, actually. This was a restaurant. Keep using restaurant examples because they're top of mind. This was a restaurant, but basically what they did was they added vegetarian attributes to their menu items, and they also added photos to each of their menu items, like dish photos. And they saw meaningful changes, like massive impression growth on certain types of queries, especially things like vegetarian queries, right? They showed up, I think it was a Mexican restaurant. They started showing up a little bit higher on some more Mexican restaurant related queries. So like they saw real results. So don't be afraid as you're looking at changes, think about the before and after. Did you get more calls? Did you get more visits? Whatever that looks like. And then continuing to refine your strategy, right? And then thinking about things like if calls come in after hours, right? Maybe you don't have the right hours on there. What can you do to sort of adjust? So that's the advice that I would give. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, we keep talking about hours, but they're crucial, right? They can make or break. I guess the simplest thing, but getting it wrong. I mean, I'm sure you guys ever, went to a place and it was closed or, they closed earlier for whatever reason it was closed. And it just really like ruins the day, right? It's like, especially if you're hungry, then it's even worse. Yeah.
Then you're
And I think,
hangry. You're not just
yeah,
hungry.
angry.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think some of the challenges businesses have, especially when there's labor shortages and giving everything that's going on, I think what happened is we were just in New Orleans not that long ago, and there's this place we love for mufaladas, and we couldn't wait to go there. And we showed up, and there was a sign on the door. So it wasn't on their business profile, but there was a sign on the door that said closed today due to staff shortages, which is heartbreaking. Yeah. But think about, maybe updating on that day to make sure
Yeah.
people are coming to you.
And leverage posts, right? Share the news.
Exactly. Although I don't know if you want to post. Sorry, staff shortages.
Well, I mean, we're closing early today. Yeah, we're closing early today.
I like that. I like that a lot.
So, I mean, I really appreciate your time. Before we wrap up, I do want to ask you guys for some quick, actionable things for, it doesn't necessarily need to be a new business, but maybe it's a franchise or a, medium-sized brand that is now just taking serious their Google business profile, right? They're seeing the impact of the data. They're seeing the need for it for AI. What would you tell them? Like, where should they start to improve their visibility?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think Ashley touched on a lot of this already, which is, your business profile is your digital storefront. Sometimes a customer might know who you are, and sometimes this is the first time they're being introduced to your business. So fill out every section you can as robustly as you can. It's worth the time. One example is like, sometimes I'll look at a spa business profile and like for their offerings, they basically just have a list of things like massage, nails, blah, blah, blah. It's like, have descriptions there and price it and give me a little sense of what these treatments are and what different types of massage that you are. So or that you offer. So making sure you fill it out in a really robust way and even take off your business operator hat for a second and put on your customer hat and look at your business as if you wanted to be your own customer, right? So I think that's a great way to think about it, thinking about somebody's intent, right? So again, going back to the spa, do they want to see what the treatment rooms look like? Is there a sauna? Is there a full spa? What services do you offer? How much are the treatments? Going back to what you said about cost, is it upscale? Can they accommodate a group if I want to go with a bunch of friends for a birthday? So think about the questions or need states that people are in and how do you address those with the information that you provide, because the more info you provide, the more of an opportunity that you'll have to show up and search, right? People are searching on longer queries with lots of needs within there. Outdoor patio, restaurant, heaters, TV to watch the big game. How do people know if you have that? They don't unless you tell them.
I wish like we could give you the secret sauce, the one thing that you like businesses can do, because businesses are busy. Like like out of all this, they just want to know, okay, what's the one thing I have to do? Unfortunately, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
And nothing with running a business is. And every example that like you gave, Christian, Lisa, they were all different, and ask like anyone else in the room how they found a business, and everyone's gonna say something different.
Mm-hmm.
But I will leave you with, I think, the top 3 things. Like the first one was post, which I already talked about. The second one is offerings, which we've been talking about as well, and that could look different. So for a restaurant, that might be your menus or photos of your dishes. For a nail salon or spa, that could be your services. For pest control, it could be your prices and your different services as well. And referencing the Uberall's recent report, the Lowdown Local Search, 1 out of 3 customers check the business's offerings before visiting a business, which makes sense, right? You want to know what the business sells before you go.
Right.
And the last one is customer testimonials. Like you said, reviews get talked all the time, and reviews are so important. But also, like, what about short form video? What about photos? Like the photo of the dog at the bar, like, did that come from the business? Did that come from a user? Maybe they saw a really cute dog and they snapped it, and they want to upload that to the GBP to represent their experience. Or maybe they want to upload a short form video. I get made fun of a lot because sometimes I like to do like the come with me to this new restaurant.
I
So
like
those
those
videos,
actually.
I
They're
really
fun to
like.
watch, not gonna
Thank you.
lie.
But they're great at showing what the experience is and building that peer validation, because as much as it's important for businesses to update their presence, it's even like more impactful when you hear peers going to it as well.
Yeah, no, and as you were talking about like updating pictures, I think they should really know their industry because I'd rather not see pictures of local pest control companies because I can keep those pictures to you.
That
But
is so
food,
fair.
everything else, I'm game. But anyway, I really want to appreciate you guys, for making the time to come chat. I think it was a awesome episode. Let us know in the comments if you have specific questions or anything like that. And yeah, again, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you soon. I know we'll be in touch.
Thanks.
It's great. Thanks so much. This was fun.